Hey guys, it's your girl Leslie, and welcome to my channel. Hey everybody, it's been a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed your Halloween. I hope you guys enjoyed my costume. And I'm glad that, that you guys told me a couple of your costumes, what you were gonna wear for Halloween, and honestly think that was awesome. And also sorry I haven't posted like for 6 days after Halloween. I've been quite busy. Literally today I literally cleaned all of my wigs. Very hard task to do. And right after I showered my dog, and then right after I did my hair. It was a whole wash day for everything basically. It's weird. Like the first time ever. That is odd. But yeah, it's been quite a busy day for me, but overall it's actually been quite chill. Also, I have a question. Why didn't you guys tell me that I haven't updated this certain story that I have been doing, Carnage X Reader, for 3 fucking months? Y'all didn't tell me shit. Oh my gosh. Like, dang, y'all could have commented it's been 3 months. What's going on? 2 months, 1 month. Because I didn't even realize it. I thought I uploaded like at least a weeks ago, but not like a whole 3 months ago. My goodness, time passes so fast. So to kind of fix that problem today, we are going to be reading, obviously, Carnage X Reader. We're beginning at chapter 12. There is already a playlist for Carnage, so don't you worry. Honestly, I was going to do an story, then I realized I haven't updated this for 3 months, and I was like, let's go back a little bit. Let's go backwards a little bit, So, yeah, it was unexpected. Also, do you guys like my newly washed hair? Just washed it. I do have very burnt hair, so that is like very on top is my burnt hair growth, okay, and then burnt hair. But it still looked good. It just lightened up my hair like considerable amount. You see all that like light ass brown, but it's okay. It doesn't look too bad now. Hair has definitely improved by what it was last time, so thank goodness, right? So anyways, without further ado, let's get straight into the story, because alright y'all, we is in chapter 12, Links and Daydreams. Loki spit blood from his mouth, the man by his side watching with wide eyes. The room was dark, but Loki's lack of health was obvious to the 5 in the room with him. He wipes the remains of blood away from the corner of his mouth. The human girl did this to you? One of the men asked, his speech slurred from his crooked jaw. Half of the man's face was twisted into an ugly position, his right eye missing from his socket completely. Loki looked towards him with a glare. Watching him take a step back from the table, the rest of the group surrounded. The people there looked between Loki and the man with the damaged face. She had a symbionte with her, Levi. Loki snapped at the man. His memories of the scene consisted of the female Carnage resisting to give in to the pain he caused, and the feeling of tendrils wrapping around his neck and growing tight. Loki swallowed, glad to find his throat was free from any pressure. Another man spoke up. Show us what you Show us what you want, Loki. He grumbled out, Loki sighed and tapped the table. It came to life with a gentle glow, images popping up. As Loki pressed another point on the table, a red projection of Carnage appeared in front of the group. I know you all want this monster dead. And I know what you're capable of. I know you're capable of doing it, he told them, spinning the hologram with a swipe of his finger. As it slowed, its face looked directly at Levi, who stared it down. The others had the same hatred in their eyes. But are you capable of killing the girl? Loki then asked, narrowing his eyes as he looked through the group. Levi was still watching the hologram hatefully. Yes, the man growled. Yes, whatever it takes to get the monster. He hit the table with a closed fist, causing the picture to become glitchy for a brief moment. Loki didn't bother complaining about it. He just waited for the device to work again, before turning his gaze to the others. One had a look of uncertainty. Other than try to defend the man she loves, what has she done wrong? I don't kill the innocent. The black-haired man across the table from Levi muttered. She's the only thing Carnage would sacrifice himself for. And the only way to make him feel pain, he caused us all. Loki was furious when he was cut off. I won't kill her. The man repeated, his glare falling on Loki. He stared back for a long moment, before signaling Levi with a small nod. Whoa, wait a moment. He didn't get a moment. Within a heartbeat, Levi's form shifted and morphed. The human had been a moment ago stood in Lynx, whose height probably reached Loki's chest if he were able to stand beside the beast. Lynx hissed and flung itself over the table while the others scrambled out of the way. The man was knocked down out of Loki's view, but he heard the snap from the man's neck. The lynx sat up, the body changing loosely in its jaws, like a cat carrying the body of a rat. As he looked to Loki, he could see the lynx was too missing an eye. With a smirk, Loki raised a brow at the others. Any more objections? No one answered him. Staring at the huge feline who dropped the man and stepped over the corpse to head back to where he had been standing a moment prior. As he relaxed, he morphed back into his human form. A young girl looked towards him. Was your last name Lynx before you could turn into one? She asked, smiling happy as though she did not just witness the murder of a man she stood beside a minute before. What? It's a family thing. He cut himself off and looked towards Loki. Why is a little girl here? She can be much older than 15. Oh, she can handle this. Don't worry. Don't you worry. What? Don't you worry. Levi, meet Daydream. Even though she specializes in nightmares. Diddy, go ahead and show him what you can do. Loki told the girl, who nodded with a smile. She raised a finger towards Levi. Everyone looked confused, but Levi's eye became a dark red and his breathing hitched. The terrifying yells from Loki were a mashup of words. He stumbled backwards away from whatever nightmare illusion he was seeing. He eventually fell to the ground. When Daydream stopped pointing her finger at him, his eyes turned back normal along with his vision. He quickly looked around before slowly pulling himself off the floor. Loki chuckled and looked at the young girl. She's the first stage in our plan. She bowed her head. How will I know Yen when I see her? She asked. The devil has marked her. She bears a scar on her collarbone. You'll know. Oh my goodness, that is just genuinely terrifying. Oh my gosh. I'd literally be shitting my pants. I swear if I ever found out a girl 15, it could give me nightmares. Oh hell no, I'd be literally shitting my pants. I don't know what people were thinking, but this is not a great idea. No, I'd be terrified. Anyway, continuing. Wyan held herself close to the red and black Summonite as they soared through the air on powerful webbing. She had managed to gain all the courage she needed to watch the view without fearing she would plummet down to the earth. And by that, she meant she trusted Carnage wouldn't let go of her. The sounds coming from their mouths, sounding almost like a purr, with the way their bodies seemed to rumble in a low vibration. She was fairly certain that was exactly what the sounds were. They had a smile stretched across their face as well, proving the further contained happiness they were feeling. They landed on a building, claws digging into the material to hold them steady on the very edge overtop the rushing cars, which were far, far below. She followed their gaze down toward the earth, watching the cars pass with a small smile. Excuse me. So, Carney, she called out to them with the nickname, immediately drawing their gaze. What is exactly this little surprise you wanted to show me? And how many people died for it? I'm insulted, Carnage replied, though sounding clearly amused. No one died for this, and you'll know the surprise when you see it. they told her before suddenly leaping off the building. She flinched slightly, but calmed down once she got a hold on them. They turned down a narrow alley, Wyan a little intimidated by how close the walls were to her. Carnage suddenly dropped to the ground. Wyan let out a small squeak at the action, which caused Carnage to quickly check to make sure she was all right. When they realized they only surprised her, they put her down gently. In front of them stood a large metal door off the alleyway that appeared to lead into a building. She narrowed her eyes at Carnage. This looks like a cracked den. It is not a cracked den, they instantly argued, reaching tendril towards the lock. I'm the only one who can get into this place, they assured her before forming the end of the tendril in some sort of key shape and pushing it into the lock. It took a couple seconds to get whatever key in place, then twist it. What is this place, then? She asked, watching them open the door with a push that appeared to actually force them to use some effort. How old and rusty was this place they brought her? It's where I usually live when I'm not, borrowing homes, they mothered, gesturing into the dark room. Wyan followed their gaze for a moment before shuffling back anxiously. They looked towards the darkness, then back at you a couple times before a sigh escaped them. You're afraid of the dark, aren't you? I'm afraid of what could possibly be lurking in your creepy alley den thing, she replied, pointing out at the area around them quickly. Carnage pauses, considering that reasoning before offering her a hand. Do you trust me, love? They asked, and despite the strange eyes they had, she could tell they were full of warmth and care. That was enough for her to gently place her hand on their talon one. Excuse me, I just tossed. I had a brain aneurysm. Okay. They held it gently before moving forward. She flinched slightly as the door shut behind them with a small bang. They led her into the darkness until she heard them flick a switch that had been on the wall. Lights flickered on, and she was able to see the place they brought her. They let go of her hand as the light brightened the darkness. It was almost a pretty sight. The walls were covered in art, graffiti actually. All the pictures were in fact centered around Carnage, and clearly the Simonite enjoyed them. Some of the image involved the murderous Simonites were demonic, but it was well done. Along with that, there was a few possessions here and there, a desk and a chair, a few comics spread out on top of it. There was another room off of this one too. This is my home. Well, as close to a home as I can get, they muttered, trailing a clawed hand over the surface of some art on the wall. A moment later, their form retracted and became Cletus Cassidy once again. She moved past him into another room. They had a queen-sized mattress in the corner of the room, on the ground, covered in maybe 4 different blankets. The art was the same style and focus, but she could tell one of the walls had become dedicated to when he needed to take his anchor out on something, like large claw marks had across the wall multiple times, leaving large dents and cracks wherever his claws had trailed. She couldn't stop herself from curiosity following her fingertips where the claws had slashed. She was reminded once again of how Carnage could still tear her apart in 1 second, but never would. Yeah, it's not exactly pretty, but it's somewhere I was able to be alone. Not anymore, since you're here too now, but that's fine, since it's somewhere we can stay away from everyone, he told her, watching her fall back against the mattress. She winced as her back hit it. That wasn't as soft as I had hoped, she admitted. Cletus let out a laugh at that. His gaze was full of amusement at the sight of her against the stiff mattress. Yeah, there's a reason I seek beds elsewhere. Your couch was comfier than my mattress, he told her, but flopped down beside her anyway. He grunted as he hit the bed. Yep, that wasn't very fun. She giggled, which made him turn and smile. What? Which made him turn and... What? Oh, excuse me, let me reread this so I get it right. Which made him, in turn, smile. There we go, damn. Her laughter was so pleasing to him. It wasn't just the sounds pleased. Red seeped from his skin to make herself known. She let out a small mule-like and slithered across the small space between Cletus and YN, eyeing the other human. YN met her gaze and slowly extended a finger to scratch the underside of the Simonite's chin. "Careful, she gives love bites," Cletus muttered, enjoying the comfort of just being here with YN. The girl just huffed out a single chuckle, and Red glared back at Cletus, appearing to be insulted by his accusation. "What? It's true! I have scars from you! Don't you be a brat and cover my girlfriend in scars." "I believe both of you have already scarred me," she pointed out, gesturing a finger to her collarbone. Cletus eyed the wound while Red just laid her head down on his arm. "I couldn't help it. To the full Simonite firm of myself, your blood tasted delicious," he told her, which was unsettling. He, too, realized this and tried to correct himself. That was creepy. I won't bite you like that again, or at all. I don't exactly need to eat anyone. Okay, that was the last thing that just made it worse. "I'm worried not gonna eat me. Thanks," she replied with a small chuckle. She flipped the blanket over his head, hearing him bubble a complaint. It was Red who tugged the fabric off of him. We need to find an actual place to live, though. I think you deserve better than this place," he told her, rolling to watch her with loving eyes. He wanted to pull her into a cuddle, but he never actually cuddled anyone before, and he didn't exactly know how to ask if he could either. So instead, he continued talking. "A nice big apartment. We can have a nice living room with a terrible couch. A nice window for me to dive in and out of. 2 bedrooms. 2 bedrooms? We don't need 2 bedrooms." Cletus sitting up slightly and raising a brow. "You said you wanted to break the norm, so I did. Breaking the norm breaking the norm times what? Breaking the norm times 2 doesn't mean that bad anymore," she explained. Cletus let out a small laugh. "Sounds like a plan to me." Alright, sorry y'all. An ad came up. But anyways, chapter 13, Sweet Dreams. A week had passed and YN felt good. She felt happy and confident. She got her life back on track. Once she managed to calm both Cletus and Red, Carnage from her protective panic, she was able to leave their side and go back to work. While she was gone, he would unpack all the stuff she had bought for the new home the both of them now shared. There was no way she was leaving him to this cracked den, bunker, or some innocent victim's house. She was walking to work now, listening to her favorite song as she did so. A fraction of her scar showed, which was enough for Daydream to identify her. The girl, dressed in a casual wear, sat at a table outside the coffee shop that YN passed daily on her way to work. She had been waiting for YN to pass. As she did, a smile crossed her face. "May the nightmares begin," she giggled to herself before taking a petri dish out and cracking the lid open. A single mosquito buzzed out and flew towards YN. It landed silently on her exposed neck, still for a single moment, before piercing her skin with a bite. She didn't even seem to pause as she smacked the bug out of her neck and continued without a second thought. Daydream smiled, well aware that would take place for YN later. And when YN begins to doubt her trust for Cletus, the next step of the plan will fall to Lynx, she said with a giggle. "I'm right beside you, you know," the man grumbled across from her. Her eyes he narrowed his one good eye at her words. "You don't have to talk like that." "Yeah, but it's more cinematic this way," Levi sighed in response. It's true. It's not bad, though. That night was terrible. YN was plagued with the worst nightmares that brought her tears. Whenever she tried to scream in her nightmare, it came out as silent cries. She couldn't put together all the pieces of what her nightmare was about exactly, but it involved blood, Fire, Loki, Carnage, and her. She saw Carnage covered in blood at one point, the scarlet liquid dripping and pooling beneath their body. Those flashes were now the nightmare started, at least. But eventually it was all too realistic. She swore she felt pain within her dream, racing towards her body as though knives were cutting down her sides, burying deep inside her. This time she could hear the screams, her own screams, only when she felt fangs on her collarbone,
She was able to open her eyes to see the creature drawing blood, lapping it up with a rigid tongue. Carnage was clinging to her, pinning her in some sort of invisible surface she was unable to see. They hurried back. She could see her own blood dripping off their fangs and tongue. Yes, you taste as good as you look, they hissed with a nasty laugh. She screamed once more and tried to push them back, but she was weak and helpless against them. They continued to laugh and laugh and laugh. She woke up to the quiet nothingness, and she sat up quickly. Cletus fast asleep by her side. She slept on half of the bed closet closest near to the wall. According to him, it would make them more comfortable to be in line of defense between her and anyone who might possibly break into their home. He had been respectful enough not to touch her and give her plenty of space to herself while she slept, but right now, she felt like she needed him holding her. She gently shook him, and it was enough to wake him up from his slumber, since he was usually a very light sleeper. He paused as he looked back at her, his eyes widening when he managed to process what he was seeing. "You're crying! What happened?" he asked, pulling himself out of his comfortable position, so he was also sitting up on her side. She hadn't even noticed she was crying outside of her dream as well. She tried to wipe her tear stains from her hand, but a couple more tears fell from her eyes anyway. She hadn't cried from a dream like this for years. Cletus was wiping her tears away now, his touch soft and careful. "It was a really bad nightmare," she whispered, voice bordering on a whine. She screwed her eyes shut to make sure she couldn't cry anymore. But in doing so, the images of her nightmare seemed to vividly flash in her mind. Cletus pulled in her close, and she quickly accepted his comfort, clinging to him desperately. "You're all right, Wyan. You're safe. I'll protect you," he whispered into her ear. She couldn't help but feel the irony in that sentence, since it was the fact that his full form she needed protecting from. She gently leaned to the side, trying to lie down, but still being held in his arms. He got the hint and fell back down to the bed, keeping her locked in a tight cuddle. She felt safe in his arms, knowing that he would protect her from anything, and he would never intentionally hurt her. Something wrapped around her wrist. She checked her arm and saw it was one of Red's tendrils. The Summonite was just letting her know that she also cared. She stayed there, silent and comfortable. She wasn't sure when he had fallen asleep, but she knew for a fact she couldn't fall back asleep after such a nightmare, even with Cletus keeping her locked in a protective grip. So after a little bit, she picked an eye open to check on him. She was able to make him out just fine in the darkness she had adjusted her gaze to. His eyes were shut softly, hair hanging from the side, hanging down in his face. He couldn't stop himself from smiling. Cletus was usually very jittery and full of energy, but like this, he seemed so still and at peace. She didn't stop herself when she felt the urge to give him a soft kiss. Her lips pressed gently to his for a short moment, and her heart fluttered. There was a short period of silence until she heard the now familiar sound of Red slithering up above Cletus's skin. She swiftly turned her gaze to where the Summonite had manifested in the crook of his neck. She was eyeing Wyan with narrowed white blotches that stood out in the dim lighting. "Oh, of course, you saw that, didn't you?" she asked with a blush across her face. Red raised her head up and down, giving a small nod to confirm this. "That's embarrassing. I have an excuse. Just give me a moment to think about it." "Oh, kiss him all you want." Red suddenly spoke up, still sounding soft to match Wyan's quiet tone. "I just think you should stop dodging the fact that you were in love with Cletus. You should actually just tell him that you love him already." Her words made Wyan blush more. "I think it's normal to live in denial about loving a murderer," and she cut herself off as the Summonite snorted. "No offense, Red, but I'm supposed to hate this man, not fall for him." She tried to explain it, but Red didn't seem to be listening to her anymore. "Complicated humans. You love someone, you tell them. It's not that hard. There are no rules. You are making that up. No one can tell you who to love. because that's not how it works. Tell Cletus the truth, Red told her as she began to curl up against Cletus' skin like a small snake. She laid her head down before closing her eyes to small slits. He loves you. Least you could do is say you love him back. As Red fell silent, Ryan was left to think over her words. She actually had a good point. Cletus told her constantly about how much she meant to him. She should be letting him know she also cared. She shifted herself closer to him so she could lay there without any space between the two of them, which honestly made her feel blessed. His body was warm enough to keep her warm, but not too hot. She never fell asleep, but she was relaxed and comfortable with Cletus. When it inevitably was morning, he shifted in her touch. He rolled onto his stomach, arms still around her. Red let out a small mewl and sank back into his body, apparently causing him to awaken. He let out small breathless sighs and slowly opened his eyes. His gaze fell onto her. "Oh, you're awake? Did you get some sleep?" he asked, a soft smile on his face. She shook her head softly. "No, but it's okay. I'm not that tired," she told him, sliding out of his grip to sit up. He let her go without a fuss, his eyes fluttering shut again. "Hey, Cletus?" she called to him. He hummed to show that he was listening to her. She was fairly certain that he was always listening whenever she spoke, but the acknowledgement was still a good feeling. She never really had people listening to her, unless it was at work anyway, and usually didn't like what she had to say. She smiled softly before continuing. "I love you," she said with Red dusting her cheeks, feeling her heart warm with the emotion. Those words caused the man to instantly sit up and look at her with wide eyes. "You love me? For real? You actually are in love with me?" he questioned, leaning towards her. She giggled softly at his reaction, loving the way he was so desperately wanting to hear those words once more. "Yes, Cletus, I love you." "I wouldn't lie about it," she replied, excited to watch his reaction. His smile was brighter than she'd ever seen it, and his eyes glowed with complete love and appreciation. It took her a long moment to realize he was shaking slightly. You all right? Wow, Wyan," he whispered, a hand resting on the side of her face. She gently leaned towards his touch, and he chuckled. "You're so perfect, and I love you too, and I really do." And with that, he went to kiss her again. She gratefully accepted and kissed him back. This time, she was able to kiss him back with the same passion he had without growing overwhelmed. His hands were on hers for a moment later. They were kind of starting to feel her up, but she was still focused on the intense love between them to care. If he got too handsy, she trusted that he would stop on her command. He broke the kiss and whispered softly to her, "You mean so much to me," he insisted as he pressed his forehead against hers lightly. She could see a couple strands of the simmonite trailing over his skin as she imaged his mind was full of whatever chemical formula the simmonite desired. "Why, please never leave me." "I don't plan on doing so," she replied, hugging him close. He kept the same tight grip on her in return. Oh my god, that is so fucking cute. Also, kind of spoiled, kind of not. There is gonna be some spiciness short after this chapter. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but it's okay. You don't know with who, and I never said specifically what chapter. But there might or might not be some spiciness coming up soon. Am I gonna read that? Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, probably not, because probably not, but I will definitely tell you if you want to read it, go right ahead. Because I'm gonna just kind of skim over it. Back to me. Oh my lordy. That was probably the cutest scene ever. Oh my gosh. That was so adorable. Oh, that's just so cute. Oh my god, I'm sorry. It's just it's so cute. It's fucking cute. Come on. If you don't say this cute, you just ain't feeling my energy. I'm feeling the energy of love. Hit the music.
Basically, I feel love in the air. Oh my gosh, that was just so fucking cute. Goodness. Tell me what you guys think might happen next, even though I give you a hint. I give you kind of a hint. But for the next chapter, what do you think will happen? Will this love still continue, or will there be something we don't expect? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't cheat. Guess. Give me your honest best guess. Do not cheat. Just guess. Give me your honest guess. Okay? Don't go cheat. Don't go checking the book and cheating. Don't do that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing videos, guys. I can't wait for December to come. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. If you guys have any Christmas books to suggest, please let me know in the comments down below, because I might need a couple of ideas. And also, if you're wondering if I'm still going to be reading the January Slasher's Next Reader, of course I am, because you guys love it. So I made a separate playlist specifically for that story, because I'm not gonna lie, I love it too. And I might even read the sequel if I am I'm already reading the sequel naturally. So be patient with me, children. Be patient with me. But anyways, without further ado, I got to get going, y'all. I got to get going. But bye and peace. Oh, wow, peace.